A spiritual detox. Last week, when we examined how our faith is more than a collection of ideas, but a relationship, I promised to provide some extremely helpful tips for diagnosing and addressing common problems in prayer and how to grow in our prayer life. Brain scans during screen time have shown decreased brain activity and a stronger than normal release of the hormone dopamine, which makes other activities which release less dopamine unappealing. This is why, when we are used to lots of screen time, studying is hard to focus on and we desire too frequent of breaks. This definitely affects our prayer life as well. To have a solid prayer life, we need to be attentive. What does this mean? Attentiveness is being mentally awake, the ability to notice the beauty and significance of what is around us. It means the ability to focus and see detail and purpose and interrelationships between things. It means never being bored or restless, which is a real plus. To be attentive, we first need to start a spiritual detox. A detox takes about 30 days to be complete. Think of it on a dietary level. If someone was used to eating only cake and donuts, broccoli and beans would not be at all appealing. It would take weeks of difficult withdrawal symptoms for the body to reset and the cravings for sugar to diminish. Mentally, screen time is cake and donuts. When addicted, cutting back to reasonable levels is incredibly difficult. It takes time for the brain to get used to lower dopamine releases and appreciate the lower levels as normal. It is healthy to find hours of time in front of a screen and social media exhausting, like a sugar rush. If we see it as normal, or run to it first thing in the day, we need a detox, as it makes us unable to be attentive to our purpose, union with God. To detox the brain, either cut out screen time entirely for 30 days, or have it only toward the end of the day when more healthy mental exercise has already been completed, such as prayer and reading or study. This is the same practice as eating healthy food before dessert. Eating dessert first is a bad idea, as it will easily become the main course. During the middle of the detox, or if a detox is not needed, then it is a good time to find and regularly use a sit spot. A sit spot is a place where we can just be, a human being, for half an hour. It is most fitting for it to be outside. It should be a consistent spot in order to train the brain to be attentive to the detail, purpose, and relationships of what is around oneself. Over time, as the ability to be attentive grows, a person will begin to recognize and appreciate the natural world around him, the particular plants and trees, the changing light, the types and habits of birds, and even individual creatures' particularities. Using a sit spot will feed one's prayer life at any age. The mental attentiveness to beauty and relationship will make it easier for one's soul to listen to God when he speaks. As with Elijah on the mountain, God does not often speak through the roar of wind, the eruption of fire, or earthquakes, but rather in tiny whispers, like the growing of trees and the slow opening of flower blossoms. Our souls grow in union with God like these processes of nature grow, not at the speed of social media likes and comments. We need quiet stillness to be most fully alive. Using a sit spot is also an antidote for common problems with one's conscience. It is a common misconception that one's conscience is the same as the voice of the Holy Spirit, but this is not true. Our conscience is our own awareness of what is good and evil. It takes training and guidance, and can be in error, unlike the Holy Spirit. There are two common errors of conscience: a lax conscience and a scrupulous conscience. A lax conscience is a spiritually lazy conscience that does not examine itself. It is careless and prone to falling into many sins without giving it much thought or alarm. A scrupulous conscience, on the other hand, is being overly preoccupied with making oneself perfect on his own in order to earn God's love. Each is a form of pride. The lax conscience ignores the need for God, while the scrupulous conscience fails to trust in God's fatherly care. Using a sit spot regularly corrects the lax conscience by increasing awareness of the natural world, our relationship to it, and ultimately God. It corrects the scrupulous conscience by unwinding the worries of perfectionism and fostering a surrender or allowance of God to do His merciful work in the soul, just as He does in nature with His natural laws. Take the time to detox if you need to, and find and use a sit spot to feed your relationship with God. Parents may find resistance to this. Expect it and understand it because we find that in ourselves as well. But just as during a dietary detox, in the end, our children and teenagers will be far happier and healthier.